Welcome to this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on beliefs in society. In this video we're going to look at sects and the Christian Science movement. Christian Science is a religious movement founded by Mary Baker Eddy in 1879 that emphasises healing through prayer and spiritual understanding rather than conventional medicine. The movement promotes a unique interpretation of Christianity, focusing on the role of divine truth and mental awareness in achieving physical health. In this video, we're going to provide an overview of Christian Science's beliefs, organisational structure, history, and classification as a religious sect according to sociological definitions. Christian Science differs significantly from mainstream Christian denominations due to its unique theological and metaphysical beliefs, which blend Christian scripture with principles of spiritual healing and divine understanding. Key features of Christian Science include a belief in divine healing. Christian Science teaches that sickness and suffering are illusions, and that spiritual healing achieved through prayer and faith can overcome physical ailments. Mary Baker Eddy wrote extensively on this in her primary work, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, which outlines her belief that illness results from a misunderstanding of God's nature rather than any physical reality. Because of their belief in spiritual healing, many Christian scientists avoid conventional medical treatments and instead rely on prayer for healing. While individual members may differ in the extent of this reliance, the movement broadly advocates for prayer as a primary means of addressing illness, based on the idea that physical reality is shaped by one's spiritual understanding. In addition to the Bible, Christian scientists regard Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures as a sacred text, providing the foundational teachings of the movement. Eddy's writings are considered a guide to interpreting the Bible in a way that emphasises healing and spiritual well-being. Christian Science also places significant value on personal spiritual growth and understanding, encouraging members to cultivate an individual relationship with God. Members are encouraged to actively study both the Bible and Eddy's writings to gain deeper insight into spiritual truths. Christian Science grew rapidly in the 19th and early 20th centuries due to its message of spiritual healing, though its popularity has since declined. In 1866, Mary Baker Eddy experienced a recovery from a serious injury after reading a biblical account of one of Jesus' healings. She interpreted this recovery as evidence of God's power and began to develop her theology of divine healing, believing that understanding God's nature could enable individuals to overcome physical suffering. Eddy published Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures in 1875, outlining her beliefs about spiritual healing, the nature of God, and the illusionary nature of sickness and sin. The book became central to the Christian Science movement and is still considered a sacred text by followers. In 1879, Eddy formally organised her followers as the Church of Christ Scientist. The church aimed to promote her teachings and support the practice of spiritual healing. Eddy served as the leader of the movement, shaping its doctrines, governance, and organisation. The first Church of Christ Scientist, known as the Mother Church, was dedicated in Boston in 1894. This building became the centre of the Christian Science movement and housed the administration and leadership of the church, including the board of directors established by Eddy. In 1908, Eddy founded the Christian Science Monitor, a newspaper intended to promote honest, unbiased journalism in line with Christian Science values. Although it operates independently of church doctrine, the newspaper is highly regarded for its ethical standards and commitment to the truth. In the early 20th century, Christian Science experienced rapid growth, establishing numerous branch churches and societies around the United States and internationally. The movement's emphasis on self-healing and spiritual study appealed to many during this period, especially as alternatives to conventional medicine were gaining interest. Membership in Christian Science began to decline in the later 20th century as advances in medical science and healthcare led many to question the movement's rejection of medical treatment. Legal controversies over the deaths of children who were not given medical care due to their parents' Christian Science beliefs also impacted public perception of the movement. Christian Science continues to have a global presence, though its membership has significantly declined. The Church has adapted to modern times by emphasising the freedom of individual choice in matters of health, with some members now integrating prayer with medical treatments. The movement's influence endures in its publications and continued efforts to promote a life of prayer, spirituality, and healing. Christian Science is classified as a sect due to its unique doctrines, strict separation from mainstream Christian denominations, and focus on healing through prayer. Christian Science represents a break from mainstream Christianity by teaching that sickness and suffering are illusions rather than physical realities. Edie's reinterpretation of biblical teachings to emphasize spiritual healing places Christian Science at odds with traditional Christian doctrines that view illness as part of the natural human experience. Christian Science's origins align with Max Weber's concept of charismatic authority, as the movement's beliefs and practices are based on Edie's personal revelations and teachings. Although the Church is no longer under her direct leadership, Edie's writings remain central to the movement, and her status as the founder and discoverer of Christian Science gives her a revered place in its history. The Christian Science emphasis on prayer as the primary means of healing differentiates it from other Christian groups. The sect's teachings hold that by understanding God's true nature, one can overcome physical and mental ailments, and this distinct focus on health aligns with sociological definitions of a sect, as it represents a significant departure from mainstream religious practices. Christian Science has a structured, centralized organization with the Mother Church in Boston at its core, which provides doctrinal guidance to all branch churches. This hierarchical structure maintains unity within the movement, preventing deviations from Edie's teachings and emphasizing adherence to official doctrine. And Christian Science has faced criticism and legal issues regarding its stance on medical care, particularly in cases involving children. Instances where members have declined medical treatment for themselves or their children due to religious beliefs have led to public scrutiny, further isolating the movement from mainstream society and medical practices. These controversies underscore the group's commitment to its unique doctrines and reinforce its status as a religious sect. Christian Science offers a distinct approach to Christianity that blends religious beliefs with metaphysical principles and a commitment to spiritual healing. Edie's teachings, particularly the belief that physical reality is shaped by spiritual understanding, defines the movement and differentiates it from traditional Christianity. Christian Science emphasizes self-reliance, prayer, and personal spirituality, fostering a community that is both tightly knit and resistant to external influences. For students of sociology, Christian Science provides a notable example of a religious sect shaped by charismatic authority, nonconformist doctrines, and a unique worldview that challenges mainstream medical practices and social norms. Its history illustrates how sects can attract dedicated followings through unconventional beliefs, how they evolve in response to societal pressures, and the complex dynamics between religious freedom and public health. Christian Science's influence and enduring legacy demonstrates the appeal and challenges of sectarian movements in modern, science-orientated society. That concludes this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on beliefs in society, looking at sects and the Christian Science movement. Thanks for watching.